The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We got a great show for you today. We are going to be talking about tax relief. You know, folks, I'm going to tell you something. You do not want to handle this yourself. It is the people that you go up against, meaning the IRS, they are probably the toughest people to ever go up against. And you want to make sure that you have a professional that's going to, first of all, keep you informed, let you know what they're doing every step of the way. And we have an expert. They're called Federal Tax Relief. And they've been with us now for several months. We're waiting for them to come on the show. I think while we're waiting for them to come on the show, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about Ask the Experts, our show, which has been running for 12 years now. 12 years we have been doing this show, and I got to tell you, we started off in radio. We are on probably 15 radio stations across the country. The show did extremely well for our experts and for our listeners. But times change, and radio is not what it used to be. And we saw a trend that people were going to podcast. And it did take me a while to, I guess, change how we did business. But about 2 years ago, we went to podcasts, and I found what I thought was the greatest podcast company. Because on top of the podcast, they also offer radio and streaming TV. Now, streaming TV is not TV like you're used to watching with, the ABC, NBC, HBO, those. It's streaming. And the reason I like it so much is our experts can take their show, which appears on YouTube, take that show and attach it to their website. And we have proven it time and time again, when you put your shows on your website, it brings more viewers, which means you move up in the search engines. We have all kinds of shows. We have personal injury. We have bankruptcy. We have criminal lawyers. We have, of course, we have tax lawyers. We also have dentists. We have pain management. We have a lot of different areas of health, hearing loss, stop snoring. And then we go into financial, and we've got loans, and we've got real estate. We have so many different areas that we offer in financial, mortgages. And then we move over to wealth management. We've got some great wealth management shows. Um, but if you have a business and you would like to put it on Ask the Experts, which is a long running show, has a large audience, I'm telling you, give us a call. We're at 954 336 3767. That's 954 336 3767. We actually pinpointed by market. So if you're, for example, in San Antonio and you want to run a show on Ask the Experts, we can target San Antonio. But it's just such a great way to promote your business. And, believe it or not, it's not expensive at all. And I got to tell you that it is the best way to go. You're hearing more and more people that are doing um, podcasts now. With our show, it's basically turnkey. We do all the marketing for you. We offer the host. You don't have to worry about running the show. And we have such a great company in W4CY.com. So, again, if you would like to join us, become one of our experts, give us a call at 954 336 3767. Of course, if you try to call now, you'll get our answering service because I'm on the air right now. Again, I'm wondering where our expert is. I wasn't prepared for this. I was prepared to do a show on tax relief. It doesn't look like they're going to be with us today. So I'm going to keep talking about Ask the Experts. I'm going to make double sure that I had the right time down, which I did. And I also emailed them. But getting back to Ask the Experts, this is the best way to reach an audience now. I mean, everybody is going to podcasts. It's almost gotten now where if you don't have a podcast, you ain't in. And it's just a great way. We use ours to educate people. There are, believe it or not, there's about 400 different topics that we use when we speak to potential experts. And with us, you only have to do one show a month. It's a 25-minute show. It's a live show. And the nice part about it is people can actually go back to whether it's iHeart or YouTube, they can actually go back and watch or listen to your show. Which radio, you weren't always allowed to do that with radio. Once the show was on, it was actually part of the radio station. And, iHeart and YouTube are they're the largest. There's no individual radio station could compare with their library. So your show is always going to be out there. And the production of the show, we promote each of our shows a week out. So if your show is next Tuesday, tomorrow, Wednesday, we start promoting it in that market all that week. I want you to know that this is so affordable. It blows radio advertising out the window. Of course, it definitely blows TV advertising out. but it's so affordable. Any budget, and I do mean this, any budget can afford to do this. Um, I know most people can go out and just start their own podcast, and you can actually go through W4CY to start a podcast. The good thing about Ask the Experts, our company, is we have built up such a large name over the last 12 years. We have been copied a lot, but people know Ask the Experts. And that means you start way ahead of if you were just to start this yourself. So it's a great idea. Again, the podcast is the most important thing. But on top of that, we also offer radio and we also offer streaming TV. And you just happen to be on some of the biggest platforms in the United States. iHeart, I don't know who's larger, if it's iHeart or YouTube, but they're both huge, and you would become part of their library. Um, there's probably not a topic, not a show topic that you can come up with that we can't do. Um, what we ask you to do is to educate us about your business. And we do a lot of research before you finally go on the air so that the questions that we ask, we don't try to do any trick questions. And we just want to educate our listeners or viewers. Again, the name of the show is Ask the Experts. I am going to go probably so that Rebel knows, I'm probably going to go to 5:25 Eastern time, though our guest is on Pacific Coast time, just in case they misunderstood, because our second show always starts at right around 5:25 Eastern time. So we're going to go about 10 minutes. I want you, again, let you know that the name of our expert today is Federal Tax Relief. And they have offices throughout the country. They will go in and negotiate with the IRS. And I'm telling you, folks, you do not want to do that yourself. There are so many times and so many stories that I've heard that people try to handle it themselves, thinking maybe they're smarter than the IRS. And what happened is they ended up giving out information that should not have been given out. The IRS wants their money. I mean, they're just hired 87,000 new agents. They want their money. The stuff you hear Biden saying about they're not going after middle class, they're just going after the rich. That is
That is totally not the case, you know what I'm saying? Um, wow. Well, Steve-O, how are you? It looks like you a little froze up for a second there. But while I wait for Steve-O to come back to me and to you guys, we'll tell you a little bit about X the Experts, a little bit more about X the Experts, actually. To become an expert on their show, give a call at 954-336-3767 and they can give you more details on how everything works. Like, I can honestly tell you, it's a good place to be, not just because I work here, but because you're looking at perpetual viewers, perpetual platforms, perpetual viewing available. It's amazing. It's amazing. And not only do you have television, not like ever before, you also get radio. And again, people can listen to you for a long time. It goes on forever. It looks like Steve O is joining me. Thanks for leaving me hanging there, Steve.
Well,
We
I
are
got to
still
tell you,
live.
we do it, Rebel. We do a show, our restaurant show, and we do that from my host, her house. But I do all my Ask the Expert show from a hotel down the street. And Mondays, you have to reboot or something. And I was lucky they came on before the show. I rebooted, but apparently you have to do it twice. So that's why I got knocked off the air this time. I could I did keep talking though, like you taught me. But that was
Absolutely. Well, I picked up and I was just reminding everybody that being an expert, they will have, their shows are perpetual. They have unlimited amounts of listeners because it's on not only TV, it's also on radio.
exactly. I think I guess you heard I'm going to probably go to 5:25.
Absolutely. Your
That's Eastern.
experts, they're probably on the phone with IRS. You know how those IRS calls can
Oh,
go.
yeah.
And they won't need to be on IRS calls anymore if they seek out the expert.
Rebel, you're so good. Yes. So I'm gonna kind of spread the show out for about another 6 or 7 minutes, just in case he got the time wrong, which I don't know because I just emailed him right before the show, and I already knew the questions I wanted to ask him. But we'll kind of talk about Ask the Experts for another 5 minutes and see what happens. And
You should also plug the Eat and Critique show because,
oh, that's right.
crossover listeners.
You know what? It's a great idea. See, if you don't have a good producer, you're really screwed. And we happen to have one of the best producers. We do a show on Monday nights at 6 o'clock Eastern time, and it's about South Florida dining. And all we talk about are restaurants, good and bad. And the restaurants do not pay us because I never wanted said that they pay us to come on our show and we have to say whatever we say. So it's unsolicited. We bring them on our show. But if you're ever coming to vacation here in South Florida, or you listen to the show and you live in South Florida, it's called the Eat and Critique Show. It's on Monday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And one of the other nice things is we give out some of the most incredible gift certificates. And it's just amazing the restaurants that we go in. And we do have restaurants that we didn't like. Our background, I am a chef. I don't even think I ever told Rebel that, but I went to culinary school, which doesn't mean anything. Some of the best chefs never went to school, but I went to culinary school, and the first year is about the history of chefs. So boring. I was bored out of my mind. And the first day they told us, they said, if you don't want to work 15 to 17 hours a day, get out now. And I'm going, I don't care. I love cooking. I'm going to learn how to cook and I'm going to open my own restaurant. Well, it didn't work that way for me. I went to school for 3 years. I did learn how to cook differently, but my first job, I was a sous chef, and the owner told me to go empty the vegetable truck. I thought he was talking to somebody else. Me, I'm a chef. I don't empty vegetable trucks. Well, I soon learned that chefs do everything. And the hours were ungodly. And I started writing about restaurants. And one of the local newspapers picked up my writings. And before I knew it, I was writing for several major magazines and several newspapers, all here in South Florida. And I enjoyed doing that so much better. Dining out is on the top of everybody's mind. Uh, I remember my parents, the first thing they would say in the morning is, where are we going to go eat tonight? It's like, wow, the restaurants are important. Food's important. You got a lot of choices down here. And I went to my girlfriend, Sophia, and we put a show together that it has been incredible. I much prefer to do a show or to write about cooking than I do being a chef, but that's our background. And it's not as easy because everybody comes up and says, "Oh, you've got a restaurant show. Oh, I would love to do that." The bad part about it is the when you go to a restaurant, it's good. That is wonderful. It's so nice talking about it. But not every restaurant is wonderful. And when you've got a report about a bad restaurant, because we do have a name that we have to protect, and we can't just sit there and say every restaurant is wonderful because they're not. And so when a restaurant's bad and we have to share that with the audience, and I've had so many of my friends say, how can you do that to a restaurant? Well, there's a lot of restaurants out there, and you as a diner, you work hard for your money. And some people can only afford to go out once a month. But we want to let people know where to spend their money and where not to spend their money. So it is not as easy as it sounds, but that's the bad part. And we have been in some situations where I literally hated having to give a bad review and had to do it. It came down to, the show, it's got a name, you got a reputation. And if I'm telling people dishes that we tried were really good and people go there and they're not, it's our name. So we are very, extremely honest about our reviews we do. And basically during the week, we go out and do tastings at restaurants. And then on Monday night at 6 o'clock, we report them back. So that is the Eat and Critique Show. Thank you, Rebel, for reminding me. And I guess looking at the time, if they were going to come on, now today is Tuesday, right?
Today is Tuesday.
I guess they're not going to make it, but they will be back again with us next week. And I'll be back with you next week with more Ask the Experts. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm sorry our expert wasn't with us, but hey, maybe you learned a lot about the Ask the Expert show. See you soon.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.